welcome to QETV Live Show with your host, Miss H. As always, we have a great show lined up for you today. I have two beautiful, beautiful sisters here in the studio with me that have a wealth of information for you. So, as always, I tell you, I bring before you some of Washington, D.C. finest out there. So, you know, go on VoxWave. We're live right now, voxwave.com. Go to the YouTube, subscribe to VoxWave, and we are live in the studio. We come on every Thursday from 1:30 to 2:30. So, you know, hit us up on social media. Go to Instagram, call someone, text someone, and let them know you're watching QETV Live Show with your host, Miss H. But in my studio today, I'm excited because sometimes you never know who's right beside you. And here I passed this wonderful lady for years. We go to the same church. We pass each other. But little did I know all the gifts and the tools that was in her toolbox. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you, first of all, let me read some of her bio about the author. I have her book on the table called Motivational Gifts, and I actually took the test last night that she put in the book, but we'll get more into that later. But I just want to introduce Patrina Makins. She's a teacher. She is a ordained minister. She has a passion for teaching. But one of the things that we're going to talk more about today is my heartbeat is she's an advocate for educational advocate, and she has a special gift, and she used that gift to share with a lot of the young girls and ladies within our local city. And she's not limited just here in the city, but you know, you can be able to contact her and find out more about it. So without further ado, I want to introduce Miss Patrina Makins. Hi, Patrina.
Hello, Nike.
How are you today?
I am very well, thank you.
Good. As I was reading your book yesterday, I got lost in the book because I said, how did she accomplish so much in such a short time? Because you look young, you're beautiful, and you have a beautiful family. So let's dive right on in because we have so much to get into, especially with the nonprofit organizations that you head up. So introduce yourself. Who are you? Who is Patrina Makins?
I am an author. I'm an educator.
Okay.
Ordained minister. And I am a life purpose coach, a mother of 3 beautiful children.
Okay.
Yes, that's who I am.
So how did you get started in the educational piece, the advocacy? Because, you know, on your Facebook page, I noticed that you have put on mother and daughters event, pushed into your purpose. That was the conference that I really got to know you.
Yes.
I attended briefly your Pushed Into Your Purpose conference where you had a number of women there and men too, and you were sharing with them about moving forward in their purpose. Then I discovered your daughter. I've been knowing your daughter, Kelly, for so long and didn't connect the two of you guys together and discovered you have the PK, Patrina and Kelly group. And tell us more about the Kids International. Not My Kids, is that the name of the group? The name threw me off a little bit, Not My Kids. So tell us more about those groups that you are the CEO of.
Okay. The Not My Kids Foundation is really about my children.
Really?
Yes,
okay.
It's about my children.
How did that get started?
And, the thing is, you know, I'm not sure if you heard this quote. I'm not sure who wrote the quote, but it says the worst place that someone you can find yourself in is between a mother and their child.
Wow.
Right? So I lived that with my children. I had 3 very successful children. And as you know Kelly.
Yes.
And she's also known as Coach Kelly as well. So I remember one day, my oldest son, he wanted a scholarship to a prestigious summer camp.
Okay.
At the time, I wasn't able to send him because financially I was not there. So I remember just sitting there watching and waiting for him to come out, as I did, like other parents. And while I was sitting there, a tear just rolled down my cheek.
Oh.
Yeah. And I heard not my kids, right? And as I pondered on that, I thought, because, we come from humble beginnings. And I said, you know what, these families that are picking up their children exemplify the family that I want for my children.
Wow.
In that moment, I purposed in my heart to go back to school and get, further my education.
Yeah, you have a master's degree from Regent University.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
In education.
Okay.
So you said, how did I get into education? Well, education found me. And as you had mentioned with my book, you took the test. And one of my motivational gifts are teaching as well. So,
okay.
And so that's how I started teaching. One of my colleagues, organization administration is another one of my motivational gifts. And one of my colleagues had a school that he just started, and he asked me to, come and teach computer because that was the first degree that I obtained from Strayer University.
Oh, okay.
And computer information system. I was like, okay. And so I decided to do that because I just was awarded my first government contract because I had a staffing company. I started in 1996.
Wow, you've done quite a bit. And I saw you had an award from PNC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Nonprofit of the Year. I was nominated for that. So what I'm saying here, you said, I know we had a conversation previously, and even today you asked me, how was I able to accomplish all of that?
Yes.
But when you're in your purpose, when you know what your purpose is, everything in your life is going to line up. And that's exactly how all this came about. And with the nonprofit organization, we're 501(c), as you had mentioned.
Okay.
And our mission is to make a positive, life-changing impact on lives of young people through education, advocacy, service, and mentorship. So that's what I did with my children.
Wow.
So because I was able to do it with my children, that qualified me to help other kids. And not only in the Washington, D.C. area, but also in South Florida, as you probably had read in my bio. And so that's how that started, And my motto is to stand up for, fight for, and declare the next generation.
I love it.
So that's why the title threw you off a little bit. We say not
my kids, yeah.
Because, not my kids to drugs. I refuse to allow my
I
kids to be
see
a statistic.
The brand now.
So that's the brand. So that's how I said I'm going to fight for my children because, humble beginners, we grew up in Northeast D.C., public housing.
Oh, so you're a Washingtonian, a native. Okay.
Washingtonian. I refuse to allow my sons, my daughter to be a statistic. So I did what I needed to do to make a better situation, a better life for my children. And that's why I said not my kids. So, and being, successful in that, so I wanted to expand, the borders of my tent and be a blessing to other children as well. So any children who come into our program, that's what I'm saying, not my kids, to drugs and generational cycle of abuse and all the nonsense that go along in dysfunctional
It's just so much
families.
Trauma going on now that we need organizations such as yours. So tell me, what's the basis of the organization like? What's the ages? And what do you do when young people come to the organization? How do they join? And what are some of the gifts and talents and things that you begin to work with them on when they do come to you?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Most of our work has been done in the school system. Community partners. So we go in and, we have the mentoring programs, met with girls, the ages middle school and high school are our target, because... and the PK girls, as you have mentioned, Patrina and Kelly, that was birthed out of my relationship with my daughter. Okay.
And by the way, audience, PK is not Preacher's Kids. It's Patrina and Kelly. That's mother and daughter, in which I know her daughter very well. And Kelly is a beautiful entrepreneur. I mean, with energy and finesse. She is so motivated. She worked with the youth at our church, and she has for years a hairdresser. She's a retailer. I mean, entrepreneur. Kelly has so many strengths and talents. Now I see where she get it from.
Yeah.
So PK was birthed out of that mother-daughter relationship.
Mother-daughter relationship, because we had a challenging time. I mean, once girls, they get into middle school.
Yeah.
Middle school is
they feel themselves.
Interesting year for children. And John Hopkins, there's some report, they talked about how that the social and educational challenge that the kids face, they can't handle it. And a lot of kids in 6th grade, that's when they fall through the crack. A lot of them decide, this is too hard for me, because they leave elementary school, and then they thrust into this environment that they cannot handle.
That peer pressure.
The peer pressure is real. It's real. And then being on both sides of the spectrum as an educator inside, as a mom, that's where the advocacy piece came from, because, the social injustice that's being done to our children. Whenever you have a story, there's a cause that come along with that.
Sure.
So this is the cause, that why I promote and why I fight for not only my children, not only for my daughter.
Yes.
Kelly and my youngest son, my other son. I have a son, he's an actor.
Oh, wow.
And then my oldest son, he is a music producer. So I fought for my children. I refuse to give up on them.
Not my kids.
The Word of God tells us that, that the seed of the righteous should do great things in the earth.
Yes.
And you talk about what you see in Kelly's life, that is on purpose. She is successful on purpose, because I'm reminded of the story of Abraham. His name was Abram before God called his name Abraham.
Right.
So when people start calling him Abraham, they was calling him into his purpose.
Yes.
Hey, Abraham, and that's interpreted, hey, Father.
I hear the ministry gift coming on you now.
Absolutely. And that's what Kelly, I told her, she was, received a partial scholarship to Edwards Waters College in Jacksonville, Florida. But I said, what is it that you want to do?
Right.
Right? But I saw this raw gift on the inside of her, and I cultivated it. And I pushed her into her purpose.
Wow.
Right. So she wanted to do hair. So we said, you're going to go to the best hair school, and
wow.
And the rest is history. But coaching her through that, and allowing her to be who God created her to be. There's no better place.
Wow.
As you had mentioned in my books, Motivational Gift, Pathway to Your Divine Purpose. So the problem I solve is helping people find out what their purpose is through their 7 motivational gifts. You talked about your gifts.
Yeah, I took the test. Just to share with you briefly, I took the test that's in her book, and you got to go through 42 questions, which it didn't really take me long, because I thought about it, and I tried to allow myself to answer on my first answer that came to my mind. Because when you try to think too much, then you're really not purposely going according to what's coming, first from you. They always tell you when you're taking a test, that first thought is the real answer.
Exactly.
So I just, whatever came to me on a scale of 1 to 5, I would check it. But after taking those 42 questions and going through that test, then she says, now you got to add it up. I added it up wrong. I added it up, the whole thing at first, but then you have to add it up according to the section, again, following directions too. When I added it up, actually, it came out with some interesting facts, because I knew these first 3 gifts, they do show some motivational gifts that I have, and it forces me now to move towards that purpose. But when I took it, the strongest one, it became a number 34, and you say anything over a 30 was one of the gifts you're strongest at, and it was a giver. And I've been accused all my life, and I accept the accusation that you give too much of yourself, your time, your talent, but that's who I am.
Yes.
And I'll never forget it. My brother lived in Broward County, and I know you did a lot of work down in South Beach, Florida area. He used to say, sis, you got to be who you are. You love to give. But you can't expect that everybody else is going to do that because that's not
Absolutely.
everybody's gift.
Right.
So I love to give. And then my second one was leadership. My adult children always tell me, you want to lead in everything. Sometimes you need to, let somebody else do it. And I do. I display that. I love leading. I saw that in high school as a young girl, and somebody like you in my high school, a teacher pushed that. I will always be the one stand up and read the play, or I had to always announce everything. I just wanted to lead. And then the third one was a teacher, which is absolutely in line with what I love to do because I went to college to be a teacher. I went to ministry school to be a teacher. I love teaching. And if anyone know me, I use teaching as one of my motivational gifts. So those were the three strongest, so it does work. So tell me, with these young girls, when you have them, tell me some of the things that go on, and how do you solicit the girls? How do you find them, and how can they find you if a parent is listening or a young person is listening? Tell us more about the advocacy for these girls.
As I had mentioned, it's through community-based partnership.
Okay.
But more recently, I'm not sure I mentioned that a lot of work was done in Broward County, Florida, Fort Lauderdale area, because I was there, as I taught there for 10 years. I was in Miami, living in Florida for 10 years. So a lot of the work has been done there. So I relocated back home. It's been like almost 3 years ago.
Okay.
So I'm relaunching Not My Kids Foundation. We are. You can find us on.
Tell us how they can find you.
National Mentor Network. You can connect with us on there. Social media, Patrina Makins, on Facebook. IG, Instagram, Patrina Makins, the Queen of Motivation.
Okay, I like that.
But these gifts, man. We are actually born with all 7 gifts, right? But we want to have some dominant gifts, and then we want to have the least dominant gifts. So yours is teaching, giving, organization, leadership. The mine is exhortation. And prophecy, and also teaching. So with that, that's how my book was birthed, because of that. And these are our marketplace gifts that God has given us, where He is going to put His super on our natural. 10x it, as you know, that's a new term. Whatever you do, you got to 10x it, right? So that's what I teach. I have a coaching program where I teach people how to find their purpose through their 7 motivation gifts, and how to monetize it, right? Because I told you I was teaching school, but now I sell books full time, and I have the coaching program, and then I have the Women Empowerment Group, Pushing to Purpose Empowerment event, and our mission with Pushing to Purpose is to serve as spiritual midwives, pushing women into their purpose, and also create networking opportunities for other women to come together and get connected to their 21st century Naomi.
So what do you have some events coming up? I like that name, midwives, because we all can understand that as females. Are males allowed to come into?
They can come in.
They can come in. Okay, so there is equal opportunity.
Absolutely.
Okay, so how about what's going on with you now? I know Sunday you have an event coming up. Tell us more about that event.
Okay, so as you had mentioned, we had Pushing to Purpose Empowerment Event Women's Conference 2018, August the 24th, 25th, which was really awesome. We had an awesome time, awesome event. But then God had ministered to me. We have these conferences. We have all these empowerment things. And then guess what happened?
What happened?
Wait till next year. But it was we need follow-up.
That's true.
So that is the purpose of our event. We're having monthly events, Pushing the Purpose and Empowerment.
I like that.
Monthly events. And our thing for this year is Women Who Win. Okay? So our topic for Sunday is, what does winning look like? What does it look like? It's going to be different for you, different for me, right? But we know that winning is a mindset. Right? But a lot of times we find out that, you know, we're right at the threshold, but then there's like a block wall
Yes.
that we keep hitting, because in our subconscious mind, all the things and trauma and all the things
Yeah, that's true.
that, you know, has been spoken over our lives, generational curses and all those things need to be broken. So God is leading us to continue the work that was started. We cannot leave our sisters there because we had some breakthroughs, right? So I had professional therapists who are going to be there, coaches going to be there and talk about how we can just break through and overcome those challenges and reprogram our subconscious mind and believe the word of God. Because God, he tells us that we can triumph in every area of our lives.
I love it. And you know what? You said a very key thing before we go to our break. Think about it. If she's acting as a spiritual midwife, a coach, helping young ladies and young men to fulfill their purpose. Think about a natural child. If a natural child came home from the hospital and that mother set that child in that crib and said, see you next year, what would happen to that child? You know, the trauma and the dysfunction, the lack, the abuse. I mean, the list would be endless to describe what a small baby who have no sense, and first of all, didn't even ask to be born. And that's what our babies are. And I'm so glad for people like you and all the others that are out there that have these mentorship programs and that are concerned about our next generation, because they're our future.
They are.
To want to intervene, take the time out of their schedule, use their gifts and talents, because they're not for us. I saw that in your book, that when you discover your purpose and your talent, it's not about you. It's about using it to help someone else. And that's how we fulfill and become our brothers and our sisters' keeper. So I love that you have changed and decided, you know, we need to do this thing quarterly, or we need to do this monthly.
Absolutely.
We need to, you know, fill in the gaps, because they will fall in the crack. And that's how so much of the trauma and the abuse, the neglect, and the dysfunction go on. Because what do I do between now and next year? I love your conference. I love all that people have said, but I don't know what to do in between the other 364 days.
Well, we're going to get them connected to some professional women who can take them forward, you know, where they stuck. And then, you know, have counseling. I mean, you know, there's nothing wrong with counseling. We need a mentor.
We do.
You know, and that's what we create, the networking opportunities for women to get connected with their 21st century.
Yes.
Naomi, as we know that Elizabeth was pregnant, right?
Right.
And it wasn't until Mary showed up that caused her baby to leap.
Sure
right?
did.
To push her to her purpose. Ruth and Naomi, we have all of these great stories. And Apostle Mike, he said, it is the order of God.
Come on.
Another man or woman in your life
yes.
to help you get to the next place.
To get to the
and
next place.
And I'm telling you, I'm such an advocate, not only for children. I know you put a lot of emphasis on the children, but we got to get whole as women.
That's true. I love it. You're right.
I mean, this thing goes back to slavery. I mean, the families being ripped apart. I mean, you know, men being stripped from their families. And I think a lot of that's have a lot to do with men staying in the house today.
Wow.
Because of that. We got some work to do. So this is my purpose in life.
Yeah.
But I realize that I can only take them to a certain level.
Right.
So just like Dorothy on the road, you know, and the Wizard
I
of Oz.
saw that. I thought that was a great analogy.
But guess what? When she got on the yellow brick road, there was 3 people waiting for her that she had to take them to see somebody else so they can get their needs met. And that's my mission. I'm going to take you where you need to go so you can get your needs met, and we can be whole, and we can do the work that God has calling us to do with the gifts and talents that he has put on the inside of us.
I love it. I love it. It's time for our break. But before we go on that break, tell them again where they can find you and how to contact you.
Yes, thank you for that. Nike, she's such a sweetheart. But our event, go on Eventbrite, Pushing to Purpose Empowerment Events. monthly, quarterly events, monthly events. But go to Push Into Purpose Empowerment Events on Eventbrite. It's Sunday. It could start at 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. 6500 Old Branch Avenue, Camp Springs, Maryland, Suite B. We would love to have you, but make sure you go on Eventbrite and register. And if you have any questions, hit me up on Facebook, Patrina Makins.
Oh,
Makins.
awesome. And tell them how they can purchase the book, Motivational Gift, Pathway to Your Divine Purpose.
I'm on Shopify, Patrina Makins. Yeah, you can get it on there. You can get it on Amazon.com. You can Cash App me. Cash App me is like king.
I know. I love it.
Patrina Makins, and I can send the book to you. But thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you. And I love it. As we go on the break, you said about the Dorothy. I loved it because along the way, she helped one person find a heart, find courage, find a purpose. So I thought that was such a perfect analogy. We're going to have you back on again with follow-up on how the meeting went. Sure. And again, look for Patrina Makins. Go on her website. Give her a call. And for you businesses that are out there, she needs your support because there are people that without her, it will stop them from coming along, and she will be able to help them. As long as she's moving forward, you should move forward and support her. She is a 501c3 nonprofit organization, so it's tax deductible, so you can be able to give and support her. But I love it. I thank you so much.
You said, you talked about my gifts and what I'm doing, right? But all of us have gifts and we have talents. What is the price that's being paid because you're not operating and functioning your God-given gift? Somebody is suffering. Somebody out there need what you have to give them because we all have our supply.
Yes. Wow. It was needed. And stay tuned with us. We're going to go on a commercial break. And as she mentioned that a lot of times with what's going on from slavery on up to modern day, with all the things that are going on, it doesn't hurt to get professional help. And that's who we have coming up right after the break. So I need you to stay tuned and listen to our next guest as she come on and share with you how, if you are experiencing any of the trauma or you are an organization and you want to invite her, stay tuned. We will be right back.
So you like smooth jazz? Great. Horn of Plenty, Harvest Harmony from saxophonist Travis Bridges. Smooth jazz and all the sax you'll ever need. Available at travisbridges.com. 786-487-7338. Horn of Plenty from Travis Bridges. All the sax you'll ever need.
Natasha Paris Saint-Amand was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, to Haitian immigrants. As a graduate of Temple University School of Education in Philadelphia, Natasha Paris holds a master's degree in counseling psychology and a bachelor's of arts degree in psychology from Baruch College. She has combined her love for counseling individuals who have experienced trauma of all kinds and or suffer from low self-esteem with her trained experience as a beauty consultant and makeup artist. Natasha Paris believes that etiquette coaching is a nice blend of the two worlds.
It is all about your smile, because smiling, it allows people to want to engage with you. And then if that person is not feeling up to par, your smile alone will allow them to want to have a conversation with you.
Natasha Paris offers the need to beautify and refine not only what is on the outside, but what is primarily on the inside.
People want to see your face, they want to see your smile, and they want to hear what you have to say. But if they're focused on your long lashes, the lashes when they go to the nail salon and they offer a deal, you get your nails and your lashes done together. And it's really big and it looks like you're, it's a whole lot. We don't want to do that.
She trains individuals to become confident in the areas of walking, talking, clothing presentation, skin, makeup, professionalism, and fine dining etiquette.
Well, everyone can benefit from etiquette. You're talking about every race, every ethnicity, from 5 to 99. And so don't feel like etiquette training is something that you're beyond. We want people, when they meet you, to see you and to hear you. We don't want people to get distracted by your lashes or your accessories or your colors. We want confident people. Most confident people will close deals a lot faster than those who are not confident. And etiquette training, Freedom Revealed, is all about liberating individuals and making them want to become better people, right? And empowering them to do better.
Hello and welcome back to QETV Live Show with your host, Miss H. Thank you for tuning in to voxwave.com. You're watching us live right now. We just finished a show with Patricia Makins that shared with you some of the nonprofit organizations that she is a part of and that she is helping to birth and work with women and young girls and guys who are experiencing trauma or just needing to find their purpose. So now our second piece, I have back with me in the studio, Natasha Paris Saint-Amand. Yes. I love the name. I just love it. I love Natasha. She's just such a wonderful person that I have gotten to know, and I just really love your spirit. I love what you do. Again, like I told Patrina, I love the fact that you're operating in your purpose. And without that, as she stated earlier, we would not have people getting the help that they need. Because everyone, as she said, when you're operating in your gift, when you're operating in your talent, you're helping those that need it. And speaking of help, that's all I can say in our world today. We need help. Yeah, tell us, what is going on? What are you experiencing with your clients? And first of all, tell us again, for all those who are watching for the first time, what it is you do, and then you can move forward in telling us what it is.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Nike.
Sure.
Okay, for those who don't know who I am Natasha Paris Saint-Amand. And it is actually a French name. My family, I'm first generation here in the States, born and raised in Brooklyn, and my parents are from Haiti. And so with that, there was lots of information that was always passed and shared
Yes.
from Haiti and just living in the city.
Wow.
And so I am labeled as the etiquette therapist. And as you've seen in my promo video, I have a background of being a beauty consultant, makeup artist, stylist, but then also going to school and having family members and my parents particularly saying, look, we came to this country to give you a better education, so all this other stuff that you're doing. Keep doing it, but make sure you go to school, right? And so with that said, my experience has been providing individual, group counseling support for people in need. So I am licensed in 4 different states, particularly Virginia and the District of Columbia.
Oh, okay.
And so I have a practice that primarily supports individuals who are looking not just from, an etiquette perspective of presentation, but I come with a different background and a specialty background of being a licensed therapist and having experience and being trained in the area of grief and loss and trauma.
Wow.
And so I often, when I meet with my clients, I say, yes, I can help you become your best self on the outside, but what about what's going on the inside? Because we know there are many people who are dressed up mess, right? I mean, to put it very, very frank, very dressed up mess. And so it's so imperative for us to really begin to talk about what is happening emotionally with many individuals. And as our last speaker so eloquently said, there's lots of trauma.
It is.
There's trauma that needs to be addressed. And many individuals, when you're talking about mental health, they don't know what to do, right? And there's a lot of that stigma that's attached to mental health, right? And seeking support outside of your family. And many individuals are very afraid of doing that.
Well, you know what, just to start off, because we can never emphasize it enough,
Sure.
again, just briefly tell the audience, define mental health, define the difference between a psychologist and psychiatry, because a lot of time we just throw it in a bag, shake it up, and we're afraid of the unknown. So kind of identify some of those terminologies and tell the audience how they can begin to decide on which path is best for them and where they should first start at. Because if you don't know, you just don't know. It's not because you're ignorant. It's just that you really don't know.
You really don't
Okay.
know. Right. Okay, so when we're talking about terminology, right?
Okay.
And so counselors and psychologists operate in very much the same when we're talking about providing levels of therapy.
Okay.
Right? And when you're talking about levels of therapy, you're talking about working with an individual who really does not know you, which is the key. Right? The key, because oftentimes people say, well, I don't know this person, and I'm sharing all of my personal information, my background information, my trauma. But that is the key. The reason why I say that is because there's no judgment there. Right? They don't know who you are. They're going to establish that relationship as they're continuing to have a conversation with you.
Okay.
Right? And, because we often know that, many people will go to family and friends, which is great, but oftentimes they feel this need to want to, let's pray for my girlfriend, and these are all of her issues, and this is her name, and this, and it's, and then that person who you're sharing information with goes out, shares it with other people, and so there's that lack of confidentiality that occurs, right? And then you have, and so of course you have a psychologist. Many of psychologists would do school psychology. They'll do battery of academic testing and things of that nature. But when you're talking about from a mental health perspective, they're in the position to support you clinically.
Okay,
clinically. A psychiatrist, the difference between a psychologist or a counselor and a psychiatrist is that they are medically trained. And so they would go to med school in addition to, their graduate, they'll go to med school for 4 years, and then they'll do their rotations. And when I say their rotations, they may at the time decide that, I think I like skin, let me do, a couple of weeks in dermatology and see if I like that. But then they'll say, well, let me do a couple of weeks in the psychiatric ward. Oh, wow.
okay.
I think I like this instead.
Okay.
And so once they find out what their specialty is and what they have a knack for and what they're really interested in, they further that. Okay, so, and as psychiatrists, they are the only ones that can prescribe medication in addition to an RN.
Oh, okay. So they can prescribe.
They can prescribe medication while a psychologist and a therapist cannot.
Okay.
Right.
So when immediately, just because someone asked me to go see a therapist, a mental health counselor, doesn't automatically mean that that person will prescribe drugs. Because that's the first sign of fear that people get. Like, I'm not crazy. That's the first word that we hear come out of our mouth. And then, do I have to get on uppers or downers? That'll make me even more crazier. So, all of those fears.
Absolutely.
So now that we are, getting rid of those fears and realizing that we can just go and talk to a therapist.
And let me say this. I think that, within the African American culture, I think that more people are becoming more willing to see a therapist, right? And I think that society has made it less of a stigma, but there's still a stigma, right? But it's not as taboo as it once was back in the 70s and 80s about seeing a psychiatrist or seeing a therapist. And I tell people all the time, when you see a therapist, you really have to just be able to share, right? Because, and I've said this many a times before, I said, a therapist is not your friend and they do not give advice, right? People believe that, I'm just going to talk about, and then I want you to tell me what to do. A real therapist, and when I say real therapist, a therapist that follows follows what it is, their processes of training, right? They do not give advice. What they do is they really allow you to speak, and then they take your words and then they change it, not necessarily change it, but they regurgitate it and put it back on you.
Now, what's the purpose of doing that? Like, what is the healing side of that for you to listen to me and then rephrase give me back, repeat back to me what I said for me to hear it. How is that healing?
Oh, it's powerful. The reason why I say this is because oftentimes people speak and they're not aware of what they're saying.
Okay.
They're not aware of what they're saying. And when a therapist is hearing that, they'll rephrase it and they'll say, so what you're saying to me is that you enjoy being physically abused.
Oh, okay. Did I really say that?
You may have said, he hits me several times a week, but it's okay. Oh, so you're saying it's okay. So you're telling me it's okay and that you are okay with, or maybe not necessarily enjoy, but you're okay with being hit 3 times a week.
So you have to be on your toes to listen.
Active listening is one of the major keys to being a professional therapist. You have to actively listen. As soon as I'm in a session, my ears are on 10, 100, because I'm listening to every word that they're saying. And so it's healing and hearing yourself, hearing someone say what you just said. That's why it's so therapeutic to write things down, because when you write it down and then you sleep on it and then you read it again, you're like, oh.
Okay.
Your reflection, like Michael Jackson has always said in his, and the man in the mirror, when you can look at yourself and admit that something is wrong, then you have made a step in the right direction. Because oftentimes people don't want to see themselves where they are. That's like major. People don't want to see where they are. They rather be zombies. And I said there are many people walking around as zombies. As zombies, just taking in life, but not partaking in life. Taking in life, but not partaking in life. Not walking in their life, not walking in their purpose. But they have to heal. And there are lots of individuals who are dealing with lots of wounds, traumas. Wow. Right? And so, therapy is life-changing if you get the right therapist.
You know what?
That's the key. The right therapist.
It would behoove a person just sometimes to, even if they have the insurance that they need, just to go and see a therapist and to hear them repeat back. Because to me, just hearing you say that helps me before I even leave out the door. I just heard my own thoughts. You just put them a different way, and it gives me something to go home and think about.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And let me say this, like anything, right? So if you're going out to, I'm going to give a basic example. If you're looking for a doctor that specializes in, or a cardiologist, right? You're not going to just go to any cardiologist. You're going to look at some reviews. You're going to look at, you know, what have their clients have said about them, right? Or even as simple as a hairstylist. You're not going to just walk into a salon and say, I want her. You want to see what she's done in the past. And you have to have that same mindset with a therapist. You want to look at the reviews. You want to hear testimonies, right? You want to also go in, and oftentimes therapists will provide a consultation, you know, 30-minute consultation just for you and that person to have a conversation, so you get to feel if this person is a right or a great match for me.
So that's okay to do that, to shop like that and get consultations.
And get referrals. Absolutely.
Okay.
That's imperative. Because, you know, I've had individuals say, you know, I'm looking for an African-American female, right? I've had someone say, I'm looking for an African-American female who is also West Indian background. Wow. Why? Because there's a different perspective that I will be able to understand as being a firstborn here in the States and having to enculturate or have to learn how to enculturate into this culture while being in a family that, you know, this is how it is and they think they're back home.
Wow. Okay.
Right? Because there's a level of sensitivity, understanding that, because your families may say, I want you to conduct yourself like this, but you're like, I'm living in New York. We're not back home.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, I say this all to say that it's so vital for you to shop around and really be okay with the person that you're sitting and sharing your entire life with.
So speaking of trauma, what are you seeing now that are coming through people you know, I know the confidentiality piece that, we don't give names.
No, we don't.
But what we can do is find out what's going on that you've seen go on, some crisis going on with your business now.
Well, let me say this. Currently, I have a few contracts, and one of my contracts, I'm partnered up with a mental health agency, and I am responsible for setting up mental health clinics within the schools. Okay. Wow. And what we're seeing, the trend is that the children are getting younger within experiencing and becoming desensitized by all of the violence that's occurring in their neighborhoods and in their households. And so what we're seeing now is that trauma is huge, because it's someone had, and I was actually, it was an author, a person had written in the New York Times. They say many children within the inner city, their life replicates, the number of trauma that they've endured replicates someone who has lived in the Middle East. Wow. Seeing death consistently, or being in the midst of war. Right? There's war going on in the inner city, but people are not talking about it as often as they would talking about international affairs. Right? And so these children are seeing death consistently. And I'm saying maybe once every 3 months, once every 4 months. And so the trauma that they're dealing with is coupled with, okay, you know, my mom is not there as much as I would like, right? My father's not there, you know, from a socioeconomic status as well, right? We're talking about poverty, right? And then we're also talking about difficulty reading. Like, I mean, there are
a number of things.
And it piles on and it piles on, and then you expect that child to function.
Yeah, we do.
We expect that child to sit in the classroom and listen and pay attention and be.
What's wrong with you? That's the famous question.
Right,
that get
absolutely.
asked.
So trauma, to answer your question, trauma is definitely something that's happening on a consistent basis.
High on the list.
High on the list, and it is alarming. And you know, we need to act, and we need individuals who have mentoring programs and who are concerned about the youth and concerned about the parents who are dealing with it. And then let me also say this, and I've said this to someone else, that 18 to 26-year-old population, very interesting. These children are the families or the children, the byproducts of that crack epidemic.
Wow.
That crack epidemic in the 80s and 90s.
You're right.
They were born 92, 93, 94, 95
Right.
with no parent in the household because of drug and alcohol.
And some of the parents are still locked up.
Yes, and incarcerated.
Yes.
Absolutely. And so these kids
Yeah.
are now having children.
Yes.
Trauma
So,
upon trauma
wow.
upon trauma. And so people don't talk about that. People don't talk about that. So it's definitely something that has to be spoken about. There's a huge event happening on October 13th, sponsored by the contracted agency that I'm employed, that I'm contracting with, I should say. And it's a free event, and it's called No More Trauma.
No more trauma.
No More Trauma.
Tell us about it. Where is it located?
Yes,
and
it's going to be at Plummer Elementary School.
Okay.
Plummer Elementary School, which is located on Texas Avenue Southeast, and it's going to take place. It's a free event.
Okay.
And they're going to have we're partnering up with Walgreens. Walgreens is going to come out and provide flu vaccinations for anyone that's coming out there. We're going to have a dental mobile unit there.
It.
We're going to have bouncy houses and cotton candy machines and lots of entertaining activities for the children as well. And so that's a big event that's taking place. So that's I believe that's October 13th. That's Saturday.
Okay.
And I apologize that I'm going on
No,
my
go
phone.
ahead. Go ahead.
I just want to confirm the date of that. That is October 13th. I was accurate in saying that.
And where will it be at?
It will be at Plummer Elementary School.
Oh, okay.
Plummer Elementary School in Southeast.
It's amazing because Stubbs, the young lady right before me that comes on, she has an event. So I really put in a plug for all these events that are going on because, again, it's to help our youth. It's Saturday, October the 13th at Charles Hart Middle School. Really? And I almost thought it was the same event, and they're doing some of the same thing, female transformation, helping young girls. It's called You Go Girl, present their first annual conference. So, you know, if you're in the Charles Hart Middle School location, which is right down the street, so you possibly can go to both. In other words, there is no shortage of people trying to reach out and help. So moms, young people, dads, uncles, cousins, no matter who you are, you know, if you have a young person or you yourself, because information is pertinent, you know, that's the key to life. You know, knowledge is power. And when you have all these events going on, they're not putting them on just for their own health. They're putting them on to share the information, to share the help. And I love the fact that Walgreens is behind this because we need to put a demand on our community. We buy from Walgreens, we buy from Walmart, we buy from these beauty supply stores. Put a demand on your local community for a lot, especially in our community, for them to put up or shut up. Because they should be promoting these events because it's us in these communities that are their customers. So it gives me, you know, really good pleasure to know that Walgreens is supporting this, just as with Patrina was sharing earlier that she received the award from PNC. Because, again, these are our communities.
Absolutely.
And we need that support.
Right. And then I also have another event. I mean, there's lots of events, right?
That's okay.
We should have a
that's
bulletin of all
that's
the
what
list
we
of
have,
events
and
the
that's what
dates.
eventually we will do that.
That would be phenomenal. But I'm all about economic empowerment. So,
Okay.
So for me, as a clinician and etiquette therapist, I say let's do wraparound level of care and support.
Okay.
And so when we're talking about individuals, helping them with their presentation, right? But then also helping them emotionally. But then also saying to them, how can you move from working for someone else and being able to support
Yes.
and own your own business? And so I have a big event happening. It's actually going to be in Virginia, so hopefully Virginia's not too far from many people.
It's not. It's not. So tell us about that.
Okay, so that event is happening this coming Saturday.
Okay.
And that event is going to be in Fairfax. It's going to be, it's a networking entrepreneurial event teaching individuals how to become business owners and how to really maximize your opportunity to be successful. Because
I love it.
Yeah, because oftentimes people are saying, well, they complain and explain about all of the things that they don't have in their life, but what are you willing to do in order to get it?
Yes.
What are you willing to do, right?
Okay.
So once you get yourself to, and you can do this all simultaneously when you're talking about self-development,
okay,
and making sure that you're healthy all the way around.
Okay.
And so that event, and as I was looking for the exact address of the event address is 8900 Little River Turnpike, Fairfax, Virginia, and that's going to take place at 3:00.
Will you be there?
Absolutely. Actually, I am the one that's facilitating.
Oh, you facilitating?
I am
Okay.
facilitating, and I am the host of that actual event. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about just moving people in a direction of health and wellness.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell them again how you can be found on your social media handle, and then we're going to sign off.
Okay. Well, you can find me on natashaparis.com. And my Instagram is Etiquette Coach for You. And that's on Instagram, and Facebook is just Natasha Paris as well. Okay. Yes.
Well, thank you, Natasha. It's been a pleasure. And
you
like
so
always,
much.
You are so welcome to come on anytime.
Absolutely. I
love
appreciate
you.
that. And you know what? God works in wonderful
Yes, He does.
ways. And I often say that nothing is coincidental.
No, it's not.
Everything happens in divine order. And so it was wonderful to share this platform with Miss
H and Miss Patrina Makins.
I was gonna say Watkins. I don't know where Watkins came from. Miss Makins, and and it's great that you can have women who are doing great things in the community and support that. So we thank you so much, Miss H.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And again, as she just stated, we had Patrina Makins earlier. Go on Amazon, go to her website, and buy her book, Motivational Gifts.
I'll purchase a book too.
Okay. And we just all love and support one another. But again, thank you for viewing QETV Live Show with your host, Miss H. Remember, we are here live every Thursday from 1:30 to 2:30. Love you. See ya.
God bless you.
You're watching the QETV Live Show with your host, Mrs. H. Tune in at voxwave.com or call in at 240-719-2560. Again, that's 240-719-2560. We're located at 4711 Auth Place in Camp Springs, Maryland. Watch live the QETV Live Show every Thursday from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Would you like to be a guest on the QETV Live Show with your host, Mrs. H? You may reach her at 240-353-3806. Again, that's 240-353-3806, or email QETVLive@gmail.com. The QETV Live Show is bridging inspiration and information for everyday life.